I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 498 of the Hoots Podcast here. Hope each and every single one of you are enjoying the holiday season, and welcome to 2026. It is just truly the nefarious one, Brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez, coming to you from Winter Park, Florida. I'm 2 weeks in here in the Sunshine State, and for those who are wondering, things are going really good, and I'm in good spirits. I appreciate everybody that's been checking in on me and asking how things have been going since I moved down here a couple weeks ago. And, a lot of it's been bittersweet because not only saying goodbye to, like, family and stuff, like, I only have lived in Chicago my entire life, you know. This is my first time traveling and living in a different state like this. And, my dad played such a big role in helping me bring the stuff down here and encouraging me, and just all the support and the planning that went into making this trip a reality, making this move a reality. It was really bittersweet for me when I said goodbye to him before he flew back to Chicago that last day. And, it's a process. I'm really happy. I am. I made the decision that I've been wanting to do for 5 years, and the fact that I finally made it happen, I'm really proud, and it's really starting to settle in now. The fact that it's a reality. I'm here now, but those first couple days, especially that first week, was just really tied with a lot of bittersweet moments, and like just understand the fact that this is really a new chapter in my life, and I'm not going to be in Chicago and see my mom and dad, even though they're in different relationships and, things go on with family and shit like that. This is real life. And as we go into the new year here, I'm just trying to keep my head up and not be sad. Just try to realize that I earned this. I earned this move, and I'm fucking proud of myself. And this is the year of acknowledging my worth and following through with actions after that. So I have a heavy heart. Not only with the fact that we have 2 more episodes left of this podcast, which I can't believe we're almost there to 500, but a lot of things in my life right now, it's been part of it closure, but a lot of it's also new beginnings too. So my heart is in a crazy trance right now, but I want you guys to know that I'm happy, and I'm feeling a big sense of fulfillment and just being proud of the work that I put into making this move a reality. So I wanted to share that news with you guys because it's been really weighing on my mind the last couple of days, and just wanted to express that. Of course, I miss my family. I got to talk to both of my parents the last couple of days to see how they're doing, and my sister, my grandpa, and everybody back in Chicago. I miss them all. So we're gonna keep this mood positive because I'm not flying solo this week. I'd be remiss having nearly 500 episodes and just act like this has been only a Josh Lopez show, because it's not. I've had a lot of good brothers and good sisters over the years that have come on the show, whether they were co-hosts or hosted a show before. I think that one year where I was like super sick, and Brother Carter and the man that's joining me this week hosted a edition of the Hoots Podcast by themselves. I remember that from a few years ago. It's wild. By the way, guys, for those who are wondering, this podcast is dropping on Friday, so Happy New Year. So Happy New Year's, everybody. We're recording this episode tonight on a Wednesday night before New Year's Day. So for everybody here at the podcast, we'd like to say Happy New Year's and welcome to 2026. As Naomi would say, proceed with caution. I am Josh. You can hit me up on X at the Hoots Podcast, Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. Make sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button on YouTube at the Hoots Podcast. We are also on Odyssey. The new home for the Hoots Podcast is Odyssey, so appreciate the support on that end. And don't forget, we are 2 episodes away from episode 500. If you want to participate in episode 500, which is the final episode of the podcast of Hoots, all you have to do is send me an MP3 file shout out, and we'll play those clips here on that particular episode. Mark it down in your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a night show. We're going to be live when we record it. It's going to be a Thursday night, January 15th. So put that up in your calendars. That is the last episode for the Hoots Podcast, January 15th on a Thursday. So a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. And let's bring in my good brother who reached out to me this week and said he wanted to come on the podcast this week. And, of course, I would never say no to him. One of my main OG good brothers for the years, a great referee and just a good dude, my main man, referee Tony S. What's going on, good sir?
Well, first of all, in the words of Ric Flair, you lied again. I did not call you. This is something we've been trying to get together in the making for ever since you made the announcement. Again, Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well, safe, and blessed and happy, as I sure am. Josh made the call, made the move. I answered. Here I am. But again, we're going to keep the positive levels up. We're going to have a good time here today on the Hoots Podcast. Thank you all, whether you're watching it, listening to it, checking us out. It's going to be just like the good old days back when Josh and I used to do this. And it's going to be a good time here as we say goodbye to 25 and hello to 26. So we're gonna do things. We're gonna do things right, and we're gonna put some smiles on your faces today here on the Hoots Podcast as we say goodbye and hello to the old year and to the new year. And it is again like you said, Josh. We're taping this on a Wednesday because for the first time ever, history is made as we are both on the same time zone. So it's a little bit of an adjustment, but hey, it's all right. We promise that this is going to be a good show as we, kick the new year off right, so to speak. So let's do it.
Right. And as I was saying that, this is being pre-recorded, so if you guys are wondering where the Back Porch Q&A session is going to be, don't worry. You guys will hear that at the end of this week's episode. So
right.
Don't worry, you're going to get your fill of Mr. Chris Zaletta and Xeme Zaletta 24X on the Twitter machine.
just name the segment after him.
I know, right?
You could have just done that. Just name the segment after him.
Mr. Q&A, man.
Yes, exactly. But you know what? We appreciate people who participate.
Yes.
And he's never been afraid to, to give his feelings, give his thoughts, and to participate on the show. So, and that's, the Hoots Podcast thrives on that. That's what we want. We want, audience participation. That's what we want. And so, at the end of the day, he's only he give the people what they want. So, and the only reason why, Chris Zolette is doing it is because you guys out there, you don't have the guts to do it. He does it every single week. That's why it's his segment. So, but we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun broadcast today, and I just want everybody to know that for Tony and myself, again, we hope you guys have a really good holiday season, whatever holiday you're still choosing to celebrate post
Festivus.
Christmas, Festivus, or seasons beatings, as Brendan Carter loves to talk about. I saw him post something about seasons beatings the other day.
Yes.
I get the premise behind it, but it still cracks me up about the whole seasons beating thing. I don't know why.
Shout out, Brother Carter.
Yeah, he is a national treasure, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So on the program today, we are going to put a ribbon on the bow that is 2025, but also what we're going to do today is kind of forecast of what we can expect going into 2026 from the wrestling landscape. I'm going to be very transparent with you guys as far as my future when it comes to wrestling media and my current situation right now. I'm going to reveal some information that I haven't told anybody about. I had this conversation with Tony before we pressed the record button today, and I want to clue you guys in on what's going on. And, while I'm in a better place right now than I was about, 4 or 5 months ago when I finally made the decision that episode 500 was going to be it. And I accept the closure now. Obviously, it's going to be emotional for me when we get to that episode. But just really, especially looking to where things are right now from a wrestling content point of view, I feel like I'm getting out at a right time. And I'm really, really sad at where the state is when it comes to my colleagues and how they carry themselves. And I really feel like in a lot of ways, my field is really doing a disservice to wrestling fans, and it's affecting the products across the board in all wrestling promotions. I feel like all of us have lost the plot collectively. People can tie into lazy, lowest common denominator excuses and saying, oh, the reason why 2025 was a bad year for wrestling was because of creative. That's bullshit. Only you have yourself to blame because you don't have the ability to think for yourselves anymore. And I'm not talking about specifically just wrestling fans themselves. I'm talking about people who do shows like this and that run websites and have podcasts. We've lost the plot. And I've been doing this since I was 19 years old. So 2013, I was 19. This is 13 years ago of doing this shit. I've seen a lot of shows come and go. But unfortunately, as much as I try to implement change in the last 10 years with this podcast, in some way, not 100% fully, but I do feel in a way that we failed in our mission of trying to change this space. And I try my best. All I can do is try my best. I would never come on here and flex my muscles and act as if this is the best wrestling podcast known to man or anything like that. I know what I put into the show. I know what Tony put into the show, what Brother Carter did, what Adam Daly put in, to what Mitchell McNeil put into the show. It wasn't just a one-man project. But as I sit here and as I've been reflecting and I've been having these chats with you guys who listen to the podcast every week, I am embarrassed of where we are from a wrestling content creation point of view. It's a weekly circus. It's a weekly circle jerk of people who don't know what they want, talk out of both sides of their ass, and most importantly, like I said, they can't think for themselves. We're lacking nuance in our conversations. People want to act like they're smarter than people who actually do this shit for a living. And again, we are talking about something that's subjective, and you are entitled to your own opinions. But we've got now to the point now, Tony, where opinions are now facts to people, and that's just not how things fucking work. That's not real life. I can have an opinion, but that doesn't mean what I think is the God honest truth on the entire situations. And as much as I take a lot of pride in what we've accomplished with this show, things have to change. It does, because I'm tired of people getting their emotions twisted and lashing out these wrestling companies because they heard something on a wrestling podcast and they like that fancy booking idea or that prediction show that said wrestling podcast did. So if it doesn't go that way, that means the company did something wrong. That's not why I started this fucking show. That's not why I covered professional wrestling. And the last thing I'll say is, because I want to hear Tony's thoughts on this. I'm very glad that I had Tony as not only a good brother, but having his perspective on the show over the years, for the fact that it's because he actually works in the industry and he has done this for a living. I appreciate his perspective on things. But somebody like myself who's been on the outside and has been doing this for over a decade, a lot of this shit has to change. And I'm embarrassed to say that I'm part of the wrestling media. I am. So that's something I've been wanting to get off my chest. But Tony, if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear from you.
I don't think that you failed. I think that you succeeded. And you succeeded because you did it your way in spite of the norm of what a wrestling podcast should be. I think you brought objectivity to a marketplace that favors subjectivity.
Right.
You did that. When I was doing my pod, I used yours as a template because I'm a fan. I just happened to referee for 20 years. And I'm not going to be the top podcasters or whoever. That's not what I got into this genre for. I think, and Josh has showed me, inside baseball, when, probably about 9 months ago, you showed me the downloads of your pod. And that's not a failure. I think that when it comes down to it, I think everybody wants to be the next Meltzer. Everybody wants to be the next authority on wrestling. Because you want to be that person that everybody listens to. Now, by no stretch of the imagination do I think that I know everything about wrestling. God knows that I don't. But I think that when it comes down to it, I think that you succeeded in your wrestling landscape, showing your, being objective, telling it like it is, constructive criticism. A lot of people can't take criticism in or out of the business. They can't take it. And not everybody can. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. but you're not and never have been fazed by the tribalism. You've called it down the middle. You've pointed out right and wrong with, at least from what your perspective is and everything that you see. And that's all anybody can ask for. And the fact that you've been doing it for over a decade with almost 500 episodes under your belt, you should be proud of the body of work that you've done because you pulled that off. You could say, you did it without, with the support of other people. And that's true, but your name's attached to it. And you're not going to feel strongly about a particular subject if you didn't put your name attached to it. So even if it ends, I think that you should be proud of what you've done. And this is a body of work that, you can say, hey, I did 500 episodes of this. And, you might do a new project or you might come back to the space. We don't know. But I think that you should be proud of the body of work that you've done. And I think that you should be proud of the objectivity that you weren't afraid to show on a daily basis. Hey, this is the way it is. And you invited people to debate you, to check you, to, share in your opinion or even to challenge you on it. And you weren't afraid about that. And if certain people, couldn't, if certain people didn't want to come on, that's a reflection of them, not you. And at the end of the day, you should be proud of what you've accomplished. And I think that you should be proud of the body of work that you put in. And I think that as more people want to be the next big time wrestling reporter, everybody wants to be the next Meltzer, the next Ariel Helwani of pro wrestling. And everybody wants to be that. At the same time, you can be the first of yourself and have a following and have a background of people who respect your opinions, who share their thoughts of the industry just like you, who are in bigger spaces of the wrestling media industry, who want to collaborate with you and who want to share their opinions with you. That's a victory. Not everybody can get superstars or get the permission of superstars, but hey, we can, for First Take, if you can have a Stephen A. Smith, you can have a Max Kellerman. You don't need stars for 2 hours. You can just debate each other on who's right and who's wrong or whose opinion is what. And Tom Brady falls off a cliff and all that stuff. So, at the end of the day, I don't need to know a lot about wrestling, but I'd rather hear somebody passionate about what they're watching and in their heart want to see professional wrestling get better. Like, for example, and this may be a controversial topic, but a lot of people, I had an ill-timed run-in on Twitter with JD from New York a couple of years ago. And I think so many wrestling fans, because you have a following and JD has a following, and a lot of people mistake their arguments and their cases of this business for passion. Because at the end of the day, it's like, well, what, like for you, you want to see wrestling get bigger and bigger and bigger and have space for people and people and places and things. Some people are passionate about AEW and they want to see them get better. And the way that they go at it, it's like, oh, gee, they're bitching again about AEW. They're bitching again about WWE. And at the same time, sometimes you have to take a step back and go, wait a minute. maybe this person is right about what they're saying, because this did happen a couple of weeks ago. And sometimes you get so clouded in your thought process of what wrestling should be, you forget that wrestling is. And I think you have a good grasp of what wrestling is and what it can be. And I think that you should be proud of the body of work that you're doing. So I don't think you failed, because the numbers show that. And I think that, once you decide to leave, I think that a big void will be gone. But I don't think you'll stay away from the wrestling space. I think your heart, with your other tasks, you'll still be in it somewhat. And then you never know, if you this gives you an opportunity to go on other pods and be that, be a Stephen A. Smith and be like, do this. So, do that, but be proud of what you've done. And you know what, the more that people are gonna, the certain minority are gonna feed into the overcrowding of the BS of certain media, and that's okay. But there's also going to be that other side of the media that just wants to, give it to me straight.
Right.
And I think you did that, despite the fact that, you had to throw in a House of Torture reference at me that one time. And but that's what we do. But I could, you could hate the House of Torture. I could like how Abe-san likes, to say, Jitokyo Pimpus, and, you can, baiting and waterfalls and all that. But hey, at the end of the day, I would always say this to the fellow referees. And I would always say this. I would say, never forget your love for what brought you here, no matter the situation. Never forget, because once you lose that love, it's time to get out.
Right.
And I think you should be proud of what you did, because at the end of the day, I think you're still going to have wrestling on your heart, and you never know. Maybe you might bring on the nostalgic side like me. Because we still have to do, one of these days, we still have to do Money in the Bank.
I really appreciate you saying that, but I really do. And I think I'm having a lot of these big picture thoughts in my mind, because I'm really entering a very significant chapter of my life right now. And
and that's fine. We all go through that. Whether you're moving, you're in a scenario, that's different than what you were originally brought up in. You're so comfortable in that spot, and then sometimes your mind just starts, you're pushing and pulling about what you're comfortable with as opposed to what you should do. And you're like, what, you and I had talked about it for years, and you said, I have to. I don't know how, but I have to. And I think once your mind is basically at that point, so what, I gotta pull it. I gotta pull the trigger. I gotta do it. And then once you get there, it's like you just kind of look at yourself like, holy shit. It's like, now what? Because where you're at, it's like, it could only be like a pipe dream. It's like, oh shit, like I'm actually here. Right. Now what the fuck am I gonna do? Because now I'm here. But half the time it's like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We never knew what the hell we were doing when we were getting into any situation in life. We just went through it step by step, and if we could make it today, we could make it tomorrow.
Right. And if I look at this, it's just like I don't hide the fact that when I first started doing this stuff, that I wanted this to be a platform where I could springboard into the business. I've never shied away from that fact, and I have mentioned before that I've had the transcripts, for example, as a mechanism for me to like kind of study the business better, especially with
Right.
what I wanted to do from a commentary point of view. But with that, I was able to bring that perspective of the transcript and kind of cover the weekly shows from a different perspective, because I had the factoids and the nuance of what was actually said on the shows, and a lot of times, like, I'm not in the position of somebody who got off of work, doesn't work for a wrestling website, doesn't have a wrestling podcast, has kids or is married, right? Oh, I got off of work, I had a bad work day, I want to pop up on Raw, and my mind's going in a million different places, and then I'm letting social media dictate my perspective on a show, even if I'm not in the right mood to watch the show in the first place. And like, I'll never be in that person's shoes, But what I wanted to do, especially with this show, is like, hey, you know what? If somebody's out there that really wants like a nuanced conversation and a perspective of where things are going, you can listen to this show, because I'll tell you, like you said, I'll be upfront and transparent with how I see things, but also I can tell you that a lot of shit that you read or stuff that you listen to on shows like this is kind of fabricated BS, and I can debunk a lot of the stupid narratives that are out there. But as I look back on this and just like, I'm not struggling of like what to do now. It's just I know that this is what I was teasing earlier. Like starting this month, my hourly pay for the weekly shows that I cover are going down. For those who don't know, from a transcript, I just found out this news recently, and I haven't told anybody because I've been kind of worried in the fact that if I was going to get furloughed again. I've been in communication with the site that I've been sharing articles for now for almost 8 years now, which is crazy. The same website. And the owner told me that I'm not in any position to be fired. They're just having a really hard time right now with their viewership and readership. And the revenue partner, whatever they're keen with, is not helping them out with money as to compared to where I was, I don't know, 5 years ago when I was in my first apartment in Leamington, like around 2021, and I was covering, I don't know, 12 wrestling shows a week, doing 60 hours of wrestling every single week, and doing New Japan and NWA and MLW and all these. Referee Tony knows this. I was like, I was spamming the timeline with all the fucking transcripts I was doing that week.
Absolutely.
Like, you would go on my Twitter page and you'd be like, results. Is there anything else Josh posts on here besides results?
Yeah. Well, you might as well just put it in your middle name at this point. It's like,
I know, right?
you were doing a lot, but at the time you had to, and you recognized the assignment. You took it on.
Yeah.
And you did well by it.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know if it's the feeling of like either I can't catch a break or like what am I supposed to do? Like, I know that I'm good at this. I know that I have the passion, and God knows I put the fucking time and effort into this space. And I feel like I have something to offer to the wrestling space, regardless of whatever that is. I never came into this looking to like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. I never wanted to be that. If that was the case, I would probably started training for wrestling like 10 years ago, right after I got done with high school. If I wanted to be a wrestler, I would pursue that. This is not something like, oh, I have a wrestling podcast, so I want to be a wrestler.
No. I didn't think that. I know I didn't think that because I think that, there's certain people that enter the business through one avenue but they ultimately want to get to a different destination. I know when you started that you wanted to be in some kind of wrestling media capacity. And you did that. Yeah. So I'm telling you, you have been saying for years that I'm actually in the business and you're trying to get in the business. You've said that. And I'm telling you that from what we talked about and from what I saw, the data that I saw, stuff that you would have to pay monthly fees to see, I think that you are in the wrestling media part of the wrestling business. Because, you know, from what I saw, you just can't be like, well, you know, I'm trying to get into the business and it doesn't look like I'm going to get there. But you spent the last 12 years working your way up to get respected in this landscape. And I think that you did that because the numbers show it. And your opportunities and what you've received show it. So there's people, you know, like I said, you don't need the superstars yet. I think you are doing just fine being objective and being able to criticize without being somebody that's like, I'm just going to be negative 1,000% on this particular product or this particular person. Like, yeah. If you're going to tell it like it is, don't be afraid to tell it like it is, but be constructive about it. And, you know, I think that you've done that. You know, offer, if you're going to give them a negative outcome, then also give them a positive solution to equal that negative outcome. And you did that. So I don't think that you should be worried about, I'm not in the business. You are in the business. You're just trying to get into a different avenue of the business while staying objective. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being objective. I would rather have somebody be objective and be fair than bullshit me. There's a lot of that in the wrestling business. So,
boy, ain't you kidding?
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the wrestling business.
As we wrap up this first part of the podcast this week, can you believe that it's going to be 500 episodes?
Yeah, I can believe it because I've been, you know. Hey, you're the one after every episode. I'm at 492. I'm at 497 because I knew when I was on at 400, you said that you're gonna stay till 5, and that's it. So, you know, and again, this is a goal of progression that you had taken because most people would not want to stick with it for another year and a half, for another 18, 20 months. It would just be like, this is it. Like, no, you're seeing the finish line. That's commitment.
Right.
That's a big thing, especially when, you know, yes, you're moving on to a different project. So you're still going to be in the medium, and that's good. But your dedication to this should be commended for it. And that's something you should be proud of, because of your level of commitment. And, you know, and I don't, you know, you can tell it, hey, listen, this is the last 13 years. This is what I grew from the ground up, and I did this. You know, most wrestling podcasts would sell their fingers and their toes for the numbers that you had. So you did that, and you should be proud of that because you put the work in to do that. And obviously, word of mouth works because the numbers show it.
I'm trying to maintain that perspective because
and it's hard because it's you're at we're at the end of the finish line, so it's going to be harder to keep that perspective when like, okay, this is the finish line is coming, like this is my cutoff. I can either extend it further or I can see this thing through.
Right. Yeah, it's the finish line of it all. It's being a man of my word and staying true to the promise that I gave to everybody that supported the show when we did episode 400. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I got from my dad in my life is following through with my word and actions. If I not only I always he would say it sometimes to me, like busting my chops, but in a good way. Like, hey, if Joshie puts his mind to something, like nothing's gonna stop him. And I feel that, and I feel that in my heart and his soul. But it's also just like I need to keep this perspective because I'm turning 32 in May this year, and I still feel like I have a lot in front of me. And I think a lot of the frustration within myself is that I understand how competitive this field is in broadcasting and this shit like that.
Field is competitive. So
yeah, it's just I'm trying to maintain a perspective and understand that like I have no regrets with this show. I don't have one regret, and I have big decisions that I have to make because I am literally entering a really big chapter in my life right now, and I hope and pray every single day that door is going to open for me, and the same thing for you, brother. It's just it gets really hard sometimes.
Believe me, nothing can be worse than being in your own head, and I'm there every day, and sometimes you feel like nothing goes right when it is. Sometimes you feel like everything's going right when it's not. And sometimes it's hard to be in the here and now. And it's difficult. But, at the same time, it's like, it's a timing aspect. And I will admit, I think that God has saved me from a lot of BS. I think in the wrestling business, and I think outside of the wrestling business, I think He has saved me from more BS than I want to put myself in. Because sometimes it's like I want to be here, like I want to be at this stage, and then God's like, "Oh no, you don't. I'm just going to pull you right back out here. I'm going to just keep you right over here, and just watch it from a distance. And then when it's okay for you to come back, I'll put you right back here, and you be in your own space." And so, when everybody enters a big chapter, it's like, okay, well, like I can either sink or I can swim. And I'd rather swim,
Nice.
and that's, at the end of the day, it's like, I have to, I've got to stay up. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to make, it's the worst. It is what it is. Fake it till you make it BS cliche that you can possibly come up with. But, half the time when anybody's about to get into a new situation, you have no idea what you're doing. And then you just find some way to make it through the day and then get one, Kyle Fletcher, 1% better every day. And as weird as that sounds, you have to, because even if it's a little bit, still better than what you did yesterday.
Folks, that's why I want you guys to know again, if you want to send us any audio shout-outs for the final episode, you can send those in the MP3 file to the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. When we come back, we'll get to This Week in WWE.
Where are we going?
We are going to take our first break here.
Since when are we taking breaks here? we don't get to shoot right through the breaks like other podcasts used to do. We don't get to do that. Well, son of a bitch. See, back in the good old days, we never used to take breaks.
We're going to figure this out, ladies and gentlemen. But on the other side here, we're going to get to This Week in WWE. You're going to hear some comments from John Cena in his podcast with Cody Rhodes. We're going to play that for you guys right when we get to the segment. And then me and Tony are going to recap the year for WWE in 2025 and kind of give a just off-the-wall just thoughts and things that we can see in the coming year. And give you some little hype for this CM Punk and Braun Breaker match that's coming up at the Barclays Center next Monday, which should be pretty dope. 1 year anniversary of Raw on Netflix this Monday. Time flies by, but you're listening to Joshie and referee Tony here on episode 498 of the Hoots Podcast. The road to episode 500 continues. We'll be right back after this. Yeet. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hoots Podcast. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Before we get to our predictions, and outlook for WWE in 2026, we've been sharing a lot of clips from John Cena's interview with Cody Rhodes on, hey, what do you want to talk about podcasts? I figure since I have Tony here, we're going to play a little bit of this clip here from this interview and reflect on it. One of the things I'm proud of when it comes to this podcast is implementing these kind of podcast clips where you can hear from the wrestlers themselves talk about their perspective on certain things. Because, yeah, you can do the whole JD for New York routine or Solid Monster and act like you're the smartest person in the room, or you can actually listen to people who actually fucking do this for a living. So here, this clip here is John and Cody from the What Do You Want to Talk About podcast, and this is some really good shit here.
They're going to have a plan for you, and it's going to change. And here's the thing: the WWE audience, or the people who critique our work, they're so forgiving and understanding when the reason is injury. Yeah, someone gets injured, they can't compete. Okay, we got to give that up. Totally blows the story. Yeah. Creative. Injury. I get it. What if it's an emotional injury? What if we deem things aren't working out? Yeah. What if somebody says, I just can't make it? Sure. Like, yeah, it just doesn't work sometimes. Yeah. And instead of bitching about what we could have had, the imaginary thing, look at what we got, dog. And when I reflect on Saturday, I went peacefully. I closed this chapter peacefully. And man, fun stuff.
You mentioned Saturday closing the chapter. Upon hearing that you were coming on the podcast, do you know who asked to be on the podcast? Gunther.
I was going to say Haku.
No, Haku is welcome on the podcast. We do welcome Haku. I'd like to talk about the situation that happened in Long Beach, New Japan, how you only beat up me in the corner while there were plenty of other bodies. But no, the man you faced.
Definitely should have Gunther, and I'll tell you why.
Yes, we're having him.
For a myriad of reasons, but like, I see things from a different plane.
Yeah.
He sees things from this plane.
Yeah.
And I love that because he is relentless in mastery of a piece of canvas.
Yeah.
Relentless. We can talk about a myriad of things.
Yeah.
You'll have a lane of conversation with him, but it'll be enthusiastic. He is, you like a flat white, he's a coffee nerd.
Yeah.
Wrestling. And like with purpose, he has an idea of what it should be and an idea of what offends him.
Yes, very much.
And
this offends me.
I cannot tell you how much respect I have for him, and I know he's not going to say the same thing about me, and he shouldn't. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It is such an honor to be able to step in there with someone whose moniker is the Ring General.
Yeah.
And in my last one, if I could add a star to his uniform, someone who believes the mat is sacred, I believe the same thing. We just see it through different lenses.
Very much.
I hope you have him on. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
All right. Shout out to John Cena making his appearance on Cody Rhodes' What Do You Want to Talk About podcast immediately following his last match from Saturday night's main event in Washington, D.C. Welcome back here, folks. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE with Brother Adam and Mr. Referee Tony S. Tony, any thoughts there from what you just heard here from John and Cody?
I think that John is absolutely right, and here is why. I think that we can all get to the same destination through different avenues. And, like he said about Gunther, we can have our love for wrestling, but do it through two different ways. And in response to what he was talking about when it comes to the fans or reacting about certain creative, that's 100% right. Because injury is the only, when it comes to injury via creative, that is the only thing that certain wrestling fans will be like, all right, I got it. They're injured, okay. Like that's, but if it's any other avenue, I don't buy it. And they'll just go like this, like I just don't buy it.
Right.
And like he said, sometimes, you got to appreciate what you have in front of you. Like it doesn't matter about 97 different pieces of creative and avenue to get to where you're supposed to plan and supposed to go. Because, like for example, in the beginning, last year, all right, Cena comes back. Last year, Cena announced he's going to retire. Then we have this heel run. Heel run's good. It's supposed to have The Rock and Travis Scott. And then things change. Now we're on a babyface run. He's facing AJ and Dominic twice, and then Gunther for his last match. Nobody's really going to know what it was actually supposed to be mapped out with. And you know what? Because of what we got, it doesn't matter to me. Because we got what we got, and we got that massive reaction from people. And we got the fact that no matter what avenue you got, people cared about John Cena's last match. People cared.
Yeah.
Not many wrestling individuals who have their last matches known do people legitimately care. I think that the last match that anybody actually cared about legitimately, and I could be wrong, was Shawn Michaels. So it took 15 years for people to actually care. Hey, listen, this is a big deal. So yeah. I think John's right.
A lot of this is kind of like a full circle moment for me because when we started doing, when I started doing broadcasting, even before we started doing this show, back in 2013 was peak of the whole let's go Cena sucks.
Yep.
So I remember starting this as an intern at the broadcasting college I went to. They had a wrestling show called Shoulders to the Mat, not the most original title for a wrestling talk show.
It's all right.
So literally it's right as the week of WrestleMania 29. And and twice in a lifetime. And at that time, people were just wanting John Cena to be off their TV. Here we are 13 years later, and people are getting to nasty debates about his heel turn, the retirement tour itself, and how the last match went off. And maybe the way I thought about it, not 100% in this way, because I didn't want to make it about myself, but when I heard John Cena was doing the retirement tour, and it was coming right around the time with episode 500, like, this year has taught me, and this John Cena retirement tour has taught me to appreciate what I have, acknowledge what I went through, and go out the right way, and leave some wisdom to the people that get into this space into the future. And I think John did that in his own way, on his own way out. And it's really a shame that a lot of my colleagues made this retirement tour about themselves and their fantasy booking ideas. It's a real shame. And I've talked about this, and I don't want to repeat shit because I don't want to be like ad nauseum with this stuff. But like, I loved this retirement tour. I genuinely did. From the ups and downs, it was going to be a turbulent experience because that's the John Cena experience.
He brought. I think that John did what he was supposed to do. He gave you. I think, especially now, but definitely back then, he gave you reasons to care.
Right.
Whether he was good or bad, he gave you a reason to feel a certain way. And you can say, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. And I was thinking about this before he came on. You can think about the let's go Cena, Cena sucks thing. And now we are, a few weeks out after Cena's retirement? Because guess what, everybody? You're not going to hear that song anymore. You're not going to hear that song anymore. You're not going to see him slide into the ring anymore. You're not going to see him go like this anymore. You're not going to see him, fling the hat, take off the T-shirt, go like this anymore. No more AAs, no more five knuckle shuffles, no more STFUs, no more theme song, no more leaving. Like, that's finality.
You know why? Because he tapped out like a little bitch.
Well, if you notice, people, and I was seeing those reports too about how people were so upset about.
I got choked up when he did that.
Not me. I looked at it and I was like, because when so many people were so upset about John Cena tapping out. He gave up. John Cena never gives up. He's tapped out before. So you can't, he's not supposed to give up in his last. He's not supposed to give up in his last match. He's John Cena. Then where was this in the beginning of the retirement tour last year's Money in the Bank when he said that he was going to retire? Because technically, in my opinion, the strongest thing to do is to give up on something you love to do. So you can't say, well, John Cena, he's never going to give up. That means he's going to come back. No, you have been preconditioned that retirements don't last and that every wrestling retirement should be like X wrestler. No. Finality. That's it.
Yeah. I got emotional, and maybe it's because I was embracing the beauty of the moment.
Yeah. And it
but
was.
Also just appreciating like what that kind of meant for wrestling in a lot of ways. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so tired of the whole adage, "Oh, you go out on your sword and blah 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 blah."
He did go out on his sword.
But that's how the business is, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yes, people misinterpret the words on your terms.
Right.
They misinterpret that all the time because anybody who misinterprets going out on your terms doesn't have terms themselves to go out with.
Yeah.
So John Cena did it his way, went out his way, and that's all you can really ask. Because how a guy that gave 23 years of his life to WWE, and actually it's been longer than that if you count dark matches. So at the end of the day, it's like, how much more can anybody give to the business? I mean, a short few, but he's one of them. So he did that, and he should be able to ride off into the sunset however he pleases.
One last salute here to John Cena on an amazing career. Before we wrap up the pod here, Tony,
we're taking another break.
No breaks.
Okay.
I have a bunch of different questions, and we could make this in like a speed round type of thing.
Okay.
So we could talk about different performers, and this is all going to be a smorgasbord of different topics here for this week in WWE.
Gotcha.
Especially to recap this year, but also talk about what's ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start off with this. I'm not into the whole. You know me already, brother Tony. I'm not into the whole rumor and innuendo bullshit stuff.
Never have been.
But for you, would Chris Jericho coming back to WWE be a good thing, and how you see that envisioning in this current landscape of where things are, and which show would you have him on?
I would have. See, here's the thing. I think that Raw right now has a lot of the main event players. It has the CM Punks. You've got, Braun Breakers transitioning into a main event player.
Mm-hmm.
I think SmackDown needs one more star power, because right now it is Cody Rhodes. Now, what would it mean if Chris Jericho shows up on SmackDown and inserts himself into the WWE Championship picture? Considering that one time him and Cody were both in another wrestling organization when that first started.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that Jericho, I think it would be sporadic, probably around, because right now CM Punk, he's not wrestling a whole lot. He's doing interviews with it and promos, which I think he's very good at. Jericho can do the same thing on SmackDown. Jericho doesn't need to wrestle every week because he is a household name. People know who he is. So I think Jericho, for a 12 to 18-month run, maybe 2-year run on SmackDown, and then call it a career.
I like that. And, I've been thinking about this now, especially now that WWE expanded to different partnerships with different promotions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have something where, he could dance around from Raw and SmackDown, but I would like to see him make those pop-up appearances in AAA.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Because think about it. People know who Chris Jericho is, and if you can surprise people. I mean, when Jericho showed up in New Japan, for the first time in 20-something years?
Yeah.
After the Super J Cup, and Jericho comes in and faces, and people were shocked because who would have ever thought you'd see Chris Jericho in Japan? And now he's facing Tanahashi, and he's facing Naito, and he's facing this and that. And you got that run with Jericho for a little bit. So I think for Jericho to do that one last international run and do a AAA and maybe a Europe or a Paris or Germany and do that one last time, I think that'd be great.
Or he pops up in TNA,
Yeah, because Jericho, other than TNA using Fozzy for a pay-per-view entrance song, Jericho's never been in TNA. So,
I'm seeing a lot of people say that they want him to come with Judas to WWE. I'm not opposed to it, but I'll be honest with you, and you guys know me. I don't talk out of both sides of my ass. You guys knew how I felt about his run in AEW. I thought it was the drizzling shits, and I'm going to stay to that point. It's the same thing with Cody Rhodes when he was in AEW. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to be marking out for Chris Jericho every week.
We want the throne. We want the throne. We I'm
not going to do the whole tribalism mark thing where I hate him in AEW and then he's in WWE. I'm going to mark out for a guy. The sad thing about my disdain for the stuff he did in AEW is the fact that I was a really big fan of his work in WWE and WCW when I first started watching wrestling in the late 90s. I've always been a Jericho guy, so his run in AEW left a really sour taste in my mouth. I want him to come back and change that because his lasting memory should not be the fucking learning tree or the January 6th Appreciation Society or if you guys know that reference.
Yeah, and by the way, that's a personal meaning because that is my birthday, so there we go.
Oh no, sorry.
That's trust me, I had way better things to do than worry about that.
I'm sorry,
No, don't be. It's fine. Trust me, it's a better day for me than it is other people. But I think that I think it's, when, like you said, when CM Punk left, and I think you had that same, being a CM Punk guy, I think that especially when CM Punk was in AEW, I think that left a sour taste in your mouth because of that. So I think you're not going to get 2010, 2011, 2012 CM Punk. Obviously not. You're not going to get that again. But if you can get just 50% of that, it makes it all worth it. Because now he's grown up, he's matured, he's this and that, and now he's back. So now, if Jericho, I think if you just get, Y2J Reborn or something like that, but just something where we don't need to have Y2J 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. We don't need that. We also don't need 2008, 9 Chris Jericho, which could have been some of his best work.
Yes.
But I think it's time. I think if, Jericho, one last, whatever it is, a combination of the two or something completely different, just something. And I think Jericho has enough star power where he doesn't need anybody with him. It's like you're paying. It's not like you're, hey, I'm paying to see Metallica. No, I'm really paying to see James Hetfield. I'm not really here to see anybody else. And this is the reverse of that. You're not paying to see the learning tree. You're paying to see Chris Jericho and only Chris Jericho. So for me, if we can get, a touch of Y2J, but a refined version, a refined veteran, this is my last stop, and I'm going to go balls to the wall, all out. I feel disrespected. I had to fight to get the world title here. I was the first undisputed champion, even though he wasn't. I was the first undisputed champion. It took me 7 years to get another world championship. I had to leave, tour around the world, start another wrestling organization that, quite frankly, didn't know what to do with the talents and the wisdom and the experience of a Chris Jericho. And if Jericho can come back with something to prove to himself and go on that, then I think that works.
I had this on my mind really quick. Like, you have like a triple ladder match with the Learning Tree, the Core, and the House of Torture, man.
I got my money on the Core. I got my money on the Core.
Big Zeke for the win.
Oh, listen, it's the Barrett Barrage. That's what it is.
Look at Book T. Look at him. Look at the rolls in his head. Look at his rolls.
Look at the roll. Look at the roll on his head. Look at it.
Did you see him singing Joe Henry's theme song?
Yes, I did.
That's tremendous.
Yes, I did.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
I wonder what that reaction was when he got home, and like people just hear him like, "Were you singing out there, man? I'm just having fun." Just going out there having fun.
Oh, Booker T, beat him up. up.
Yeah, the black snow. Yeah.
Look at
the Batman. Look at the just beat him up. Like, yeah.
You gonna give me that big plus kick?
You know what? He needs to, as bad as that was, and as much as he regrets it, he needs to do that once for Halloween. Just one time, NXT Halloween just comes out. He obviously can't do, but something along the lines of of that, and just just lay people out with it. I have no problem with that.
He's a national treasure. I never know what he's going to say on NXT. That's the fun part about covering the show each week. Because it's like I think I'm the biggest JC Jane fan in the world. He takes it to another level. Every time Big tries to say anything about JC, like,
shut up, Big.
Stand up, give him some respect.
Stand up, Big. That's a champ right there. Like, yeah.
That's the rock star.
That's the rock star. You're like, yeah, okay. Yeah. You speaking in sound bites, Booker?
She's gonna play a tune on that guitar, playing a tune like that Pat Benatar.
And Vic's like, what are you talking about?
I bet Shawn Michaels is laughing his ass off with the commentary.
Oh yeah. Shawn, like, I know what's going on. Yeah, this guy's great. Like, we just need to make him like that commentator just right now. Like, oh, so
I don't know, but yeah.
Man, I don't know what's going on here. National treasure. Like, yeah, go Book. Yeah.
Oh, look at Green. I'm gonna hit him with that big thrust kick.
Yes. Oh, sure. He sure is. Yeah.
Oh, Petey Williams, you bad man. Oh, what do you say? Like, oh yeah, Booker T, that knee bar gut buster, knee bar buster. Oh God! All right, let's give out a couple of awards while we're at it.
All right.
Just really quick.
And by the way, a little bit of a breaking news here. Yep, a little bit of breaking news. Congratulations to Willow Nightingale, who just reclaimed the TBS championship.
Oh, thank God. Tremendous.
So
gonna be happier.
yes. So all right, so let's give out some awards.
All right, breakout performer this year could be male or female. Who broke out for you this year?
Oh man, see, and this is tough, but I'm gonna have to say for a breakout performer, I'm gonna have this. I think for the ladies, Sol Ruka definitely broke out, and for the men, it's no brainer. He that OG, he that Javon, Like I think Sol Ruka. I mean, take away the championship. Like, she just brings something different, natural to the table. Like, it's a natural likability with her. Now, granted, I think she's gonna turn heel because I think that she could be that B, but I think Sol Ruka definitely broke out, especially with that win on Saturday night's main event. Now, Javon just featured everywhere. NXT, TNA. I was at Bound for Glory with Javon and Leon Slater.
Yes.
That match was fantastic. And I love those kind of matches because I love to put myself in those matches. Like, damn, I would love to referee one of those. It was just so good. And then for the time to run out and nobody paid attention, and then the bell rang and you just see a whole bunch of boos because I think, they're just invested in the near fall. I think just Javon just elevates. Like, there's something captivating toward him. Like, yeah, he's young, he's charismatic, but when you see him fly through the air, you watch him fly. Yeah. And that's something that was like that. So I think for him, it's Javon for the men, and I think it is Sol Ruka for the women.
I'm going to go with the 2-way tie for the women with Kalani Jordan and
yes.
Maxine Dupree.
I think she could be breakout next year. Just because, I mean, Kaylani is definitely second for me. I think there could be a 1A, 1B. But I think with Maxine, if we can get a whole year, because remember, we kind of need Maxine away from the Alpha Academy deal. And it's just kind of, I mean, it's kind of good that she's still kind of affiliated with it and yet doing her own thing. But if we can get a year out of that, then I would definitely say full breakout star next year for Maxine.
And then for the dudes, I'm going to go with a commentator here. I'm going with Wade Barrett.
Yes, sir.
He's a fantastic color commentator, and as much as I do like Pat McAfee, I'm glad to have Wade Barrett behind the desk.
I think that Wade and Michael Cole make a very good team, and actually, I think that Wade brings a lot to being Joe Tessitore's partner. And I think that with him and Tessitore, I think that adds a little something extra because Joe obviously has a natural sports background and Joe's a wrestling fan. So for Wade, who, he's not going to flaunt his, achievement or accomplishments, but hey, 5-time Intercontinental Champion is nothing to sneeze at. But I think that Wade brings something different. It's like Corey and Michael Cole are the establishment, and Wade and Joe, it's like, all right, we're going to bring you in. We're going to bring you in. It's like, we're going to set you up. This is what you're going to expect for the big boy show. So I definitely agree with you. As far as commentators, Wade has done a tremendous job.
Let's do match of the year and pay-per-view of the year.
Oh, see, all right. So match of the year. Actually, you go first for match of the year.
Okay. For me, my personal favorite match this year was
CM Punk.
Yeah, you're right. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania this year for the main event. Close second for me was John Cena and Cody Rhodes from SummerSlam this year.
I think that my match of the year is gonna go to John Cena versus AJ Styles. I think that you had the little nuances, the Cena introduction, and then AJ wearing the short TNA, the TNA tights. It was, it's just something nostalgic about that. But for me, you had two of the best of all time to ever do it, and I watched at WrestleMania the Cena, the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania, and I thought that was good because I don't think anybody expected that coming really. But for me, as far as pure one-on-one, I like Cena and AJ because again, I like matches that I want to put myself in and be like, damn, I wish I could be in that ring like that.
What about like the PLEs? What was your favorite one this year?
Does it have to be? It's not WWE, right?
No, it doesn't have to.
Okay. My favorite pay-per-view. So I went to Slammiversary and I went to Bound for Glory. You know what? As weird as it is, I'm gonna shout out. I'm not gonna put them. I'm gonna put them in like the underdog category. I'm gonna put Bound for Glory as an underdog pay-per-view of the year, simply because it's a big growth for TNA, and I think it's a big progression for them, to keep setting North American attendance records and to keep the momentum with a TV deal with AMC. TNA has always been the little engine that could. Now, if we're talking the big boys, again, I kind of wish that sometimes I kind of wish that WrestleMania was just one night like it used to be. If WrestleMania was just that one night, I'll go with that. I'll go with the pay-per-view and everything bleeds together. I'll go with the pay-per-view that Cena and AJ was on. I'll go with that one.
I'm going to go with the pay-per-view for this year. For me, was Elimination Chamber. This given some of the crazy matches that we saw on the show with both Chambers, Kevin and Sammy. One of the craziest no holds barred matches you'll ever see.
Yes. Oh my God. Especially when I think a lot of fans are still in that, is WWE can they, and for them to bring out barbed wire, like in any kind of form, and just use that in a match, it's like you would have never thought that WWE would actually do that.
Yeah. Jade coming back, and it was Naomi that we found out was the one that took her out.
Yes.
And then, of course, the infamous Joshie, the heel turn at the end of the show. I love that, the chamber match itself beforehand got kind of slept on, but I love the different stories in it. The fact that Seth Rollins punked the match and how Cena got into the STF to win that match. I just loved how that went. So
I got to agree with you. I completely forgot about that. I might have to change it because I think that's I might have changed it to Elimination Chamber simply because you're right. I think that event, more than any other event, that set the story for the next 6 months to a year, just because of so many things that happened on that particular show.
Yeah.
And it made you pay attention. So, yeah, you're right.
All right. That's it for the awards here. Before we wrap up the pod here for today, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with programming this week as we get to the first Raw anniversary show on Netflix. A couple things off the top of my head I wanted to mention. I love the backstage with Bailey and Lyra and Adam Pearce.
Yes.
This month. That was hilarious. Like, how about you call 1-800-CALL-BAILEY? And Pearce is like, why are you yelling? I'm right here. He's like, oh, you hear this? I think you're an idiot and you're bald.
and Bailey was like, it's almost like Bailey didn't even know what kind of personality she was tapping into there.
Yeah.
And Pierce is like, excuse me, like, who you think you're talking to? Oh, nothing.
I don't know about you, but every time he's like, I need a drink. That.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's every working man right there that's just not appreciated for the stuff that he does.
Right. That's the fun thing. Like, I'm straight edge, and then he says, like, yeah, I need a drink too.
Yes. Yeah. One of the days he should just go, I need a drink, and that is official. And he just goes and just takes a drink. Like, yeah, no, he's going to manage all these egos, all these superstars, and it's a thankless job, and he's never going to get full credit for it. Yeah. And then, hey, in my opinion, take all the drinks.
I love this stuff with Punk and Braun to kick off the show. It's a very good promo.
Yes.
Braun definitely is a chip off his uncle's block.
I think you can tell, of course Braun was nervous because, he's not, this is a big spot because now you're talking them into the building for next week.
Yes.
So it's not just the match that's coming up. Now you need to know what it means for each individual now. Like, and you're not getting it from the benefit of a video package. Now you're getting it from their own lips. And so I thought that was good because, after next week, that basically after Friday, and especially with all the advertising, now everything's gonna build into that main event.
How do you think it's gonna play out on Monday? So who you got in the match?
I have CM Punk retaining the World Heavyweight Championship.
I do too.
I have Braun Breaker giving CM Punk one hell of a fight and maybe even showing a bit of respect after the match, maybe. But I think CM Punk has got too much experience, especially in this kind of scenario. Braun Breaker hasn't been on this level yet as far as a world title level is concerned. Not saying that he can't pull it off. He is a former Intercontinental Champion. But, it's a big spot. First Raw of the new year. You're going to be in the main event. You're challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not to mention Royal Rumble 3 weeks to a month away from that. I think that for right now, Braun could be a strong contender in the Royal Rumble, but I think that CM Punk will ultimately retain the World Heavyweight Championship.
I'll tell everybody right now, do not sleep on Austin Theory going into 2026 this year. Be on the lookout for him.
You know what? You can take – I worked with Austin Theory. You can take, the look, the haircut, you could – that he is at the core, he is a very talented athlete. and, take whatever booking and creative. He can go. He's a young cat that can go, and I agree with you. Don't sleep on Austin Theory this year.
And then, of course, we got Bronson Reed, what do you call him? What Ron called him this week? The master of the Shula Fala. I love that.
He is the tribal thief.
Yes, we acknowledge the tribal thief.
Yes.
But not only that, I have to mention this, and you can call me biased or whatever, but Nikki Bella, not only is she looking sexier than she has ever looked, but she put on those working boots on Monday. That triple threat that she had with Raquel and Stephanie Vaquer this past Monday was fantastic.
I think a lot of people saw that Nikki Bella was added to the match, and I think the first reaction was, why? Just because you're kind of figuring out, okay, Stephanie, why is Nikki Bella in this? But I think you're right. I think it's a show out or show off kind of a match for her.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody won in that match. I think that Stephanie won. I think that Raquel won. And I definitely think that Nikki Bella won for the performance that they all put in that match.
We got a couple other big matches coming up on next Monday. We got Maxine against Becky. Becky gets her rematch against Maxine for the IC title.
Finally.
That's not just me saying it. Other people are saying it. Sports Illustrated says it. The Bleacher Report says it. The ProWrestlingFansTruths.com says it. Becky's
ComedyCentral.com said it. MLB, NBA said it. ESPN 1 and 2 said it.
Key and Peele says it. Mr. Garvey. Hey, Ron.
Yeah. Chi Rice.
Balake.
Yes.
Balake Monroe.
Yeah, Balake. Jordan. Can Jordan Grasse?
Via Hyle.
VAIL.
By the way, shout out to the Usos catching those tag titles. Really dope match with AJ Styles and Drag the Lead this past Monday. But
for sure.
The other tag title match will be for next week is the Kabuki Warriors against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky for the women's tag titles. And then they announced on SmackDown on January 9th, 3 stages of hell. Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, 3 stages of hell match in Berlin, Germany. I mean, if you're flying away to Berlin, Germany, I can understand why it's called 3 stages of hell.
Well, you haven't done it in over a decade and a half.
Well, I was at that the last 3 stages of hell. It was in the Rosemont Horizon, John Cena, and Back at Payback 2013.
And that's why they never did it again. And see, it all makes sense now. There's reasons why they never did it again.
Even though I'm not happy about this budget cut that I'm dealing with right now, I'm kind of glad that SmackDown's going back to 3 hours, so they'll supplement things.
There we go. Hey, it all works out now.
There's a silver lining, I guess, to everything, right?
Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Aleister Black and Damian Priest is in an ambulance match on Friday.
So the ambulance match is this Friday.
Yes.
And the 3 stages of hell is the following Friday. Good.
Yes.
Because imagine that's a damn pay-per-view if you're going to have an ambulance match and a 3 stages of hell on the same SmackDown.
I'm just waiting for the Buried Alive match to come back at this point.
Oh, please, are you kidding me? You know how many people, they're like, I want Buried Alive back in 2K. You're not going to get that back. Sorry, kids. I hate to break it to you. You're not getting that back.
I mean, it's probably a bad proposition anyway, because everybody's always like, oh, if they lose a match on a pay-per-view, oh, they're buried. Well, they're literally buried now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 There'll be a lot of new meanings toward that match, by the way.
But I'm sure we got a fun bit of wrestling to consume in 2026. I'll still be doing the transcripts even after our final episode on 500. But a lot of stuff to look forward to. But that's going to put a rim in the bow for this week in WWE. Before we head out for this week, I want to give a big shout out for Tony for agreeing to come on today and shooting the shit with me, my man. This is a blast. It's like riding a bike, man. We never skip a beat when we record these shows.
Tag Team Wrestling 101, my brother. It's it's all the same, and I'm glad I was able to come on the show with you. And it's, like you said, it's kind of like riding a bike. And I've been thinking about, I'm like, geez, what should I do? Like, what should I talk about? And I'm kind of thinking of bringing my show back. But, just to be able to talk to people who care, like who actually care about wrestling and see it for what it is. And that's fun. Like pro wrestling, it is fun. Like, I understand if being serious all the time when you want it to be better.
Yeah,
I can see that. But when we first started being wrestling fans, it was fun. And that's what it's going to continue to be for me. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitter X Threads with a Z, Twitter X Threads, Instagram at Referee Tony S. I will be in Long Island, New York, this Saturday for the KNS Collectibles KNS WrestleFest Collectibles show. So that'll be in Lynbrook, New York, outside Long Island from 12 to 4. There's going to be some wrestling superstars there from TNA, WWE, some rarities that are going to be there. So come on down, come on out, have a good time. Grab some autographs. Maven is going to make a rare appearance and sign some stuff. Shane Douglas is going to be there. Brian Myers from TNA. We have Alicia Edwards and Eddie Edwards. Donovan Dijak is going to be there. A mix of current talent from all over the place is going to be in that one location. So that's going to be from 12 to 4. So we're going to have a good time there. I'm also affiliated with Lucky Pro Wrestling. Go to luckyprowrestling.com for all your events. We'll be in Leominster, Mass for the Lucky Lottery on February the 27th. So we're going to bring a good night of professional wrestling to the Central Mass area. Get your tickets at luckyprowrestling.com. I am still refereeing because I love to do it. If you have any questions for me, refereetonyS@gmail.com. Serious inquiries only, please. I don't mind shooting the S with you, but make sure it's legitimate. But it's been fun, and I definitely like hanging out with my brother, and I like to wish you and wish everybody out there who's listening a very happy, healthy, safe, and blessed new year ahead.
Happy New Year, everybody. Me and Referee Tony love you. Referee Tony, make sure you support his work. He's one of the best referees out there. And speaking of referees, I'm excited.
I've been told that.
Well, it's true. I don't say stuff just to say stuff. It's true. Speaking of referees, I'm excited to see Jessica Carr and Becky Lynch argue with each other on Monday because that's definitely going to happen. Hey, I'll take that over Aubrey Edwards any day of the week. So
you've been taking that. You have been taking that. Listen, man.
I think this is the first time in maybe like 6 months that I've brought up Aubrey Edwards on this podcast. So I'm proud of myself. I
did not provoke that. I want to make that perfectly clear right now. Every one of you out there, I did not provoke that. Yeah. He said that. I had nothing to do with it. But, it's going to be interesting, number one, before we head out, to see if because, if Maxine retains, what if, Becky Lynch just completely goes apeshit and just blindside Jessica Carr?
Corrupt car.
I don't see nothing corrupt about it. I think that Jessica Carr used her account as well as she should. Now, listen, if I will say this, if Becky Lynch has underestimated Maxine Dupree and it has cost her 3 victories and the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So, you can't blame the referee if your shoulders were pinned. So, she can talk about manager's license and discretion and all that stuff. And, AJ Lee doesn't need a manager's license because she was nowhere near ringside. So it doesn't really matter. You gotta face off one-on-one because, let's say Maxine wins. Does that mean that Becky Lynch has to enter the Royal Rumble? To get her spot back, and then look what we got for SmackDown, the 3 Stages of Hell. What a half-assed apology by Drew McIntyre on little Rudy Charles there.
Yeah,
a little Dan Engler.
I felt bad for him. He's bringing up his wife and his kids. That was kind of messed up.
Yeah, listen, man. How dare he bring up the good by God name of Rudy Jr. like that? Okay, and listen. Well, I'm not saying that Dan Engler is going to be the referee for it, but as far as I know, that Drew McIntyre has tried everything in the book to gain the WWE Championship. He's tried everything to the point where Aldis has caved to giving Drew McIntyre what he wants.
Hey, if this is leading towards him and Nick Aldis at WrestleMania, then I'm here for it.
Does that who Drew McIntyre and Nick Aldis at WrestleMania?
Yes.
Does that mean that? I mean, now, if Nick, this would have to be a one-off. It would have to be. Yeah. It would have to be. But then again, what kind of victory would that prove to Drew McIntyre? Because then, Nick Aldis could just, the next week or that next Friday on SmackDown, hey, I'm still general manager. I lost.
Not unless he puts his position on the line.
I don't think that would happen. I think that Nick Aldis has done a very good job as SmackDown GM. I think that Mr. Helmsley is trying to actually have legitimate authority figures now, and not try to have this rotating door of authority figures and just trying to make it legitimate. So, Yeah. I mean, we don't have the Undertaker anymore for people to just go one-on-one with and punish him. But I mean, Drew McIntyre could go completely nuts if he loses the WWE title.
Yeah, he's gonna snap.
If he wins, which, to be quite honest with you, I don't think it's going to happen, because that means that either A, Cody Rhodes is going to have a rematch with Drew McIntyre for the WWE title, most likely at the Royal Rumble, or Cody Rhodes could win the Royal Rumble for the 3rd time.
Well, we'll have to figure it out, man. There's a lot of interesting things to look out for.
But you know what? To cap it off, that's the fun of it. Mm-hmm. That's the fun. If hey, listen, we're not predicting. We're just thinking out loud. But that's the fun, because ultimately we don't know what's going to happen, and that's why we look forward to things happening, because it's fun.
Folks, you can hit me up if you like on Twitter/X at the Hoots Podcast, Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. Please check out my play-by-play transcripts in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com and on my own website, ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Also, don't forget this podcast comes to you free of charge every single Friday, anywhere you get podcasts from. Don't forget, if you want to participate in episode 500, all you have to do is send us an audio shout-out in an MP3 file to the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. Send those before January 15th, because January 15th will be episode 500. We'll be recording it on a Thursday night. And I'd love to get everybody back. I don't have any confirmations yet, but I'd love to get all the good brothers on the show here for the final episode. And I'll give you guys more updates as we get closer to episode 500. But I love all of you. And always remember, folks, to be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love each and every single one of you. Have a wonderful new year. Happy New Year's, everybody. For Referee Tony, I'm Joshie. Also, don't forget to check us out on YouTube at the Hoots Podcast, so you can follow our whole catalog for the last 10 years, all nearly 500 episodes of the podcast at Hoots. But for Referee Tony, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 498 of the Hoots Podcast. And we'll be talking to y'all next week as the countdown to episode 500 continues. We love y'all. Peace.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. You guys think I was done yet? I didn't forget. For those who didn't know, what you just heard was a recording from myself and Referee Tony. We did this on Wednesday night, on New Year's Eve, right before the countdown started. So I ended 2025 recording a podcast, and like the emotions have been really like carrying in, man. Like it's crazy. Like we had 2 episodes left, guys. 2 episodes left, man. It's wild. I want to do this properly since this is our last segment of the podcast this week. So let's do it. Let's do it right. All right. Welcome back to the Hoots Podcast final segment for the show this week. It's time to answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. As always, if you want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up on X at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. All right, folks, let's do it. Throw up the X. Throw it up. Throw up the X for the good brother Chris Zaletta at XZaletta24X on the Twitter machine. Or as I like to call him, Mr. Q&A. Here he is, man. Happy New Year, good sir. Let's see what you have for us this week. He says, what up, Boost? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. What are some of your favorite transcripts you did in 2025? Great question. Start off with the Elimination Chamber. I have certain matches and promos that I'm going to add to this as well. The promo in, I think it was in London, where John Cena and Cody Rhodes had their face-off, and this is where the part where John's like, "Hey, I make billions for empires, while you take money from their kids." That line to Cody, that was one of my favorite promos of the year. Punk doing the bald fraud promo was great. Punk and Gunther from SummerSlam, Cody and Cena from SummerSlam. Collectively, I think NXT as a whole, as the weekly shows and their PLEs, was some of my favorites of the year. Getting the opportunity to cover Forbidden Door was cool. Of course, I'd be remiss without mentioning WrestleMania. Of course, both the triple threats, my favorite match of the year: Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, and Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky. I'd be remiss without mentioning Evolution. That was a fun show to transcribe as well. Let's see what else. John Cena's last match. I get the controversy, but for me, it was a very apropos and sentimental sign-off for that man's career, and it was very emotional. So get to do that. John Cena and AJ Styles from Crown Jewel. Let's see what else. Like I get to see the rise of Maxine Dupree has been cool. So there's a whole smorgasbord of things that I've been able to transcribe that I've been able to recall back here in this answer, but those are the ones off the top of my head. Who will we be hearing "You're fired" around the NFL on Black Monday? The question of all questions that I get from you every year that we've done this podcast. A tradition unlike any other. Black Monday firings, man. I'll tell you what, man. I put Todd Bowles in that list. I always get the coach name wrong in Cincinnati, but I'll put him on the list. Mike McDaniel, probably. Do the Raiders just call it a 1-1 and Pete, you're too old, we gotta go a different direction? Maybe I can see that. It's not gonna be Sean McDermott because we gotta see what the Bills do in the playoffs, but do the loser of this Ravens and Steelers game get fired? Probably not. We'll have to see about that. Who else? I don't think anybody from the North is getting fired. I seen something on Twitter about some folks saying that Matt LaFleur should be fired. I don't know about all that. I think he's more better than people give him credit for. But let's see, who else could be fired? Well, they already fired the coach in Tennessee. Does Kevin Stefanski finally get the boot in Cleveland? Maybe. Let's see. Nobody for the West. I think it'd be kind of unfair to Jonathan Gannon to fire him because Kyler Murray is basically a bust at this point. And it's out of his control. He didn't draft the guy. So those are the ones that I would go with for that. When the Usos get to the end of their career, will they have surpassed the likes of the Hardys, of the Hardys or the Dudleys in your mind? I think they'll be up there, Chris, but I think that the Hardys is still up there at a high ranking in my personal opinion. I still think the Dudleys are the greatest tag team of all time. So, in the order of AEW to have any kind of improved year in 2026, what needs to happen? Which talent have to be key for them outside the likes of MJF, Swerve, and Hangman? Well, there's a whole bunch of things. First off, you need to get a new play-by-play commentator. Let's start off with that. Secondly, remove Tony Schiavone from all commentary. If you wanted him to do backstage interviews and stuff like that, awesome. At this point, I would rather hear Renee Paquette do color commentary and basically blur out the same shit that Tony Schiavone does than having to hear Tony Schiavone glaze and 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 glaze all these AEW shows. Commentary, where people want to be or not, plays a big role. And as much respect I have for Schiavone and his career, he did a lot of great stuff in WCW in the past. It's just not. It's not good in AEW. It's just not. And Excalibur doesn't help either. You want to keep Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness there? No problem. They're good at their jobs. But besides that, we need more substance amongst the women's division when it comes to the singles titles. And outside of Tony Storm, when you look at the division, and I'm sorry, I get there's people who think that Mercedes Moné walks on water, but, you know, besides her character being a malcontent and just tapping into what the IWC thinks of her, if you don't have a performer in the women's division that weren't in their feelings about how they were booked in WWE, like, what else do you have in that division? Like, you have interesting performers like Megan Bain who have the look, pretty good in the ring for her size, but I don't know anything about her. Why should I give a fuck? I mean, she's hot. She's good to look at. Most of the women on the AEW roster are great to look at, but if you're not cutting promos and you're not saying anything of substance, why are you there? And then you got Marina Shafir. I can't take seriously. I know she has the MMA background, but that Death Riders group is just the drizzling shits. That's another thing that has to go. That was jumped the shark way long time ago, even before Hangman beat Jon Moxley for the title at All In. There's a lot that needs to be changed. You need a new booker. You need to get rid of Will Washington in the creative team. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And it would be a damn shame for that company to let somebody like Anna Jay go, because the moment she pops up on an NXT show or TNA, people are going to see her potential and actually give her a shot. She can talk, she can go in the ring, and she's hot as fuck. There's really nothing missing with Anna Jay. The fact that we're almost 7 years into this promotion and she's still yet to become a world champion in the women's division is kind of a bad look. So I'll leave it at that. Who will take a big step forward in NXT in 2026? Great question. I'm going to go with Fallon Henley. I think she gets elevated to even a bigger level, and I think sooner or later Fatal Influence will disband. So I'm going to go with Fallon Henley on that one. Miles Bourne, obviously, I like what I've seen so far from Deion Lennox. Him getting more of a shot in 2026. Definitely want to see more of my guys from Evolve, like Jackson Drake and Swipe Right, or Swipe Left. You know, bringing Callie Armstrong. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, unless there's like a new crop of free agents popping up in NXT, those are the ones that go off the top of my head for that question. Also, Kendall Gray. I mean, it's hard to say who takes a big step forward. I already think Kendall Gray is there, but I'm sure she's going to have a great year in 2026, so we'll see what happens on that front. New Year's Evil predictions. I got Blake Monroe regaining her Women's North American Championship. I got JCJ retaining over Kendall Gray. I have. Let me pull this up so I don't get any of the matches wrong. By the way, folks, if you guys haven't saw my post on X, I'm going to be at the Performance Center on Tuesday. I'm going to New Year's Evil, so I'll be at this show. So we got, I got Blake Monroe regain her Women's North American Championship. I got Tatum Paxley beating Izzy Dane. I got JC Jane retaining against Kendall Gray. And I got Oba Femi beating Leon Slater for the NXT Championship. To retain for the NXT Championship. So those are the 4 matches that are they're announced so far. I'm going to be there Tuesday, and I'm pretty excited to be there. Should be a good time. All right, on that note, let's go to the next question. Thoughts on Finn Balor's promo from Monday? Can he put Judgment Day on his back? I think this is kind of like a smokescreen. From what I see, what's going to happen especially with Dom's injury, I was kind of hoping that there would have been kind of an angle that would happen on Monday with Judgment Day where somebody got kicked out. And it sucks that Dom got injured, but once he comes back, something's going to happen where either Finn gets kicked out or Dominic's getting kicked out. And that's where I see where things are going. So, let's see. If it's something where Dominic or Finn eliminate each other for the Royal Rumble, be on the lookout for that. Hey, you heard it here first. I don't have any sources, just my left and right eye, all right? Let's keep going here. If you're WWE, when you bring in David Finlay, and I know I mentioned Josh Briggs about being a possible add to the group, but would Finlay fit in the group maybe to redeem himself from the awful Bullet Club run? That's a great question. I would think so. I don't see why not. I think that'd be cool. If it's something where they want to continue Judgment Day, yeah, I would rather see something where like David Finlay is kind of under the wing of Aleister Black, and maybe Aleister Black starts his own version of the House of Black in WWE. So that's my thoughts on that. Last question here. He says, who wins the AFC North and NFC South title game Sunday between Carolina and Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh in Baltimore? Well, we got some really good football games coming up this weekend. I'm excited for tomorrow. It's, like you said, it's that title game. Both of them are on ESPN, so some big deal games. We got Carolina and Tampa Bay. I'm going with Tampa since it's a home game. And then Pittsburgh and Baltimore. You know what? I think I'm going to do it, yeah. Pittsburgh got the victory in Baltimore. That's a surprise victory. I'm going with Baltimore to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I'm going with the upset. Lamar Jackson is playing this game. I'm going with Baltimore. They got the momentum. Lamar's been dealing with a lot of flack in the media this week, and that's when he starts to thrive. So the team that nobody wanted them in the playoffs is probably going to be in the playoffs, and that's going to be Baltimore. But Tomlin did get his winning record, so his streak is still alive. But I'm going with Baltimore to beat Pittsburgh. But on that note, I want to thank you all for the great questions this week. As always, thank you to the good brother Chris Saletta, as always, for doing a great job. As always, make sure to throw it up the X for the good brother Chris Saletta at X things on the 24X on the Twitter machine. And don't forget, if you ever want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. So you go to that email. Make sure to send me your audio shout-outs and goodbyes for the podcast since we are down to our final 2 episodes. Please send those in the MP3 file to the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. That's the Hoots Podcast with an S at gmail.com. And lastly, certainly not least, I just want to mention again, if you guys want to hit me up on socials, I'm on X at the Hoots Podcast. Instagram is at Joshie Lopez Music. Make sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button on YouTube as we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Also, don't forget to check out on the home of our podcast, Odyssey. Thank you to the great people at Odyssey for having us on their platforms. And lastly, certainly not least, don't forget to check out my transcript work in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com and or my own website, ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. And as I say always on this podcast, remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love every single one of you. Have a happy new year. Welcome to 2026. We got 3-hour SmackDowns. I'm happy about it. Life is good, man. Let's have a fun ride. We got 2 more episodes left of the podcast of Hoots. The countdown from 3 goes down to 2. I love all of you. Thank you for being on this ride with me. Thank you for referee Tony for being a guest in the podcast this week. And we'll have some more fun with the final 2 episodes. Take care of each other. Be cool. And remember, folks, it could be a lot worse. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Yeet.
Bye-bye, bitch.